To update or not to update? That genuinely is the question when it comes to the Sony A7 IV. Now, you probably would have heard that Sony has released their cloud-based system where you can get up to 25 gigabytes of free storage on this cloud-based system, which is amazing. And you can get up to 5 gigs if you don't even have a Sony camera system. But if you want 25 gigs, you literally just got to choose what kind of Sony camera you actually have. And they've only just released the Creators app where you can actually connect your Sony A7 IV or ZV-1F directly to this and upload it directly to the cloud. Also, make sure you stick around because I do want to talk about this app here where you can actually physically control your A7 IV. I can touch to focus onto the microphone, touch to focus back onto my face. Just externally being able to do this without being behind the camera, this is a really good thing. We'll talk about it soon. And I know what you're thinking. We're still waiting for an A7S III, an FX3, an A1 firmware update. Sony, where is it? I don't know. I really don't know. Let's not talk about today. We're talking about that Sony firmware update. So version 2 is out for the A7 IV. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. You're thinking, I don't want to update it because I don't want my camera to be bricked. That happened to a few people last time. And, you know, my heart goes out to them because if my camera was bricked and that's my only camera and I can't fix it and I've got to shoot that day, that would really, really, really suck. And if you have only one camera, the A7 IV is your only camera, maybe wait a couple of weeks. Maybe wait till everyone tests it out. And if there are any bugs, they can fix it. But from what I've seen so far, it's been a day now and there hasn't been any bugs, so I think you're pretty safe. Just make sure you follow the steps correctly. You have to have a fully charged Sony battery, and recommended you have a fully charged Sony battery. All you need to do is download it from the website, put it to an SD card, put the SD card in, and go through the steps there. It's pretty basic. But make sure you delete all the other firmware updates in the past off your computer. The file name needs to stay exactly the same as you downloaded it. bodydata.dat. Drop that onto that SD card, put it in, and away you go. But you have to make sure that you update into the other firmware updates before version 2. So there's, I think, version 1.05, and then there's like a 1.1. And then when you've got the 1.1, then you can update to the version 2. Obviously, I will put the link in the description below so you guys don't have to go searching through the internet for that update. But let's talk about this cloud servicing app. It's pretty interesting because one of the most interesting parts is that they do have an app that you can actually create with other creators on the internet. And now what Sony are actually doing, it's very similar to Adobe Creative Cloud, where they've got a whole bunch of programs and applications that you can sort of choose from that kind of work in with each other. So it's almost like they're trying to create a full ecosystem that immerses you into the actual camera system. So it's not just a camera that you're using, but you're using specific editing apps, you're using specific creating apps where you're uploading to the cloud and you're doing a whole bunch of adjustments like that. Now, what they're trying to do with this Creators app essentially is just bring a whole bunch of Sony people together when you can get a whole bunch of motivation, you can contact other people, you can start following people. It's almost like a social media platform. It's pretty interesting, and I am currently on it, but I don't think it's going to be an app that I'm going to be, sticking to and trying to be, onto it as much as possible because it does seem to suit photographers more so than videographers. And, I'm neck deep into YouTube and Instagram as well. And, that's already a ton of social media stuff on the side of actually doing commercial work as well. Now, hopefully they will start to bring different camera systems into this system where you can start uploading directly from the camera to the cloud, and then, an editor can start working on your footage. That's really interesting, and I love seeing this, applied directly to Sony cameras. At the time of this video, they only have the Sony A7 IV and the ZV-1F paired with the Creators app. So you can connect it directly through to this app, and like I was saying, you can control a lot of different functions when it comes to the A7 IV. So once it pairs to the A7 IV, see what it gives you. It gives you a whole bunch of different features right here. So you can pretty much hit stop start. You can change the aperture, the ISO, the shutter speed, but you can also see how much data you've got left in your memory card. You can display like all the footage that you've actually taken as well. There are so many different situations where you potentially would utilize, a wireless monitor. Like, especially even if you are flying this on a gimbal, you don't actually have to attach the HDMI cord directly into this, and the latency is actually pretty decent. That's not bad. Like, you wouldn't be pulling focus with this, but touching the focus is an extremely good feature on this thing as well. Now, it is pretty interesting because you can go through the menu settings and you can actually change your white balance. You can change the focus mode, whether it's continuous autofocus, or you can actually throw it into manual focus as well. You can even change the clear image zoom setting. You can even have variable shutter. Now, I did have an issue with variable shutter literally last night when I was doing an event for a magician. I was having issues with flickering on the screens, and the screens I got perfectly when it came to the variable shutter, but then up there was an LED light that was at a different frequency, and I changed it into NTSC, and that was fine. But then the screens, it was like it was a mess. The whole event, they obviously used different flicker rates on all the devices that were in there, and I just had to prioritize the screen and the stage. And those LED lights, as long as I didn't point the camera up, I was perfectly fine. There is a lot of different settings in here that you can actually change as well. There are some of them that are completely grayed out, but that only comes down to because I'm physically recording right now and looking through the settings, so I can't change it while I'm actually recording. But if I stopped recording, I can change the movie file format if it's, XAVCS, or if I do, the HS265 codec. It really depends on what you want to do, but you can't obviously do that while you're recording. All you need to do is stop recording, and you have so much more accessibility when it comes to all the features in here. This will actually give you more information than an external monitor ever would, because this dives directly into the Sony settings. And the great thing about this one is that they'll always constantly be doing firmware updates with this app to give you more features, which is really good. I just hope they, bring it to the A7S III. I hope they bring it to the FX3, FX30, all the alpha cameras, as many as possible to link it through that. And then alpha people will be able to utilize this cloud service as well, which I'm assuming they will very, very soon. I would have no hassles actually using this for my main monitor for a lot of different situations. The only reason why I actually like having external monitors is for the fact that it has false color and anamorphic mode. They're the two main modes that I actually use when I have external monitors. Other than that, I don't really use anything else. Now, this does seem to be a better version of Sony's Imaging Edge, and I think they're starting to phase Imaging Edge out. I think because you actually had to unpair the A7 IV from Imaging Edge and then pair it with the Creators app. So I think they're starting to roll out this Creators app for all the alpha cameras and trying to get rid of the Imaging Edge app, because a lot of people didn't like it. People thought it was a bit clunky. It wasn't working very well. This one seems to be working, absolutely fantastic, and I couldn't recommend it enough. At the moment, obviously, it is still in the early phases of it working, but it still seems to be working quite well. And I think this is a really good thing to have as an extra tool in your toolkit. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. That'd be absolutely amazing. And obviously, the link will be in the description below if you do want to do the firmware update for your Sony A7 IV. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. It's perfectly fine. You just won't be able to pair it with the Creators app at the moment. But it's up to your discretion. It's really up to you if you want to do this firmware update. I don't want to push you towards something you don't want to do, but it does seem safe in my opinion at the moment. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and yeah, thanks for watching. Let's get it.